So we'll be discussing RICEF topic. Interview point of view. So what is RICEF? RICEF is a bucket. So it holds every custom object that standard SAP can deliver. So for example, so RICEF in RICEF, like WRICEF, it stands for particular abbreviation. So before going into the RICEF, we should know how many types of projects are there, so that only in that project you can identify in which phase or where you will get the RICEF requirement. So as a functional consultant, we only prepare functional specs for the RICEF objects. After that, it is the duty of the technical consultant, who is an ABAPer. He will be developing the technical specs based on the functional specs. Okay. So now let's discuss how many types of projects are there. Types of projects. So we have implementation project. For that, we have rollout project, support, and we have enhancement or change request. So after that, we have migration or conversion project, and after that we have upgradation, project. After that we have testing project and integration project. That we have rollback or stabilization project. Let's take it as rollback project. Now, so what is an implementation project? For example, there is XYZ Limited, where currently they are using an ERP other than SAP, and they want to implement SAP for their systems. So for that, SAP, we need to implement the SAP to XYZ Limited. So to implement that, we will be following few approaches. So one would be greenfield. So this is, we'll be building the system from scratch. After that, we'll have brownfield. So brownfield is nothing but they have already an existing ERP. Client has existing ERP, and now the client want to shift to the SAP. Shift to SAP. So these are the two approaches, and we can follow a mixed approach. Like for few functions, we can go for a fresh start, and for few functions, we can use the existing business model. So after that, general speaking, we'll be using uh, active methodology. So previous, like you have so many methodologies, right? ASAP methodology. So that has been gone in long way. In ECC only, the ASAP methodology is gone. Now, every implementation partner who is implementing SAP for the client, they are using active methodology. So what is active methodology? How many phases are there in this? So we have discover phase. So in this phase, we will see whether the business processes for the client. So whether the business processes for the client, you will have the several business processes, right? We'll be mapping that with the SAP, and we will see whether that fits with SAP or not. And we will identify the list of the processes like GSIs, and we will be seeing whether that can be. So in a high level view case, we will be seeing whether the business processes can be incorporated into the SAP or not. So there would be another phase, prepare phase. So in this phase, we'll be doing the project setup, and landscape readiness, and also sprint plan. Sprint plan, and also we'll do initial data strategy. So how to load the data, initial data strategy. So in the preparation phase, we'll be doing the project setup. We'll be taking all the consultants and we'll be analyzing. So I have XYZ Limited. So XYZ Limited has different business processes. So based on the business processes, so if they have procuring the raw materials, we use module, and after that we'll be using. So if they are selling selling the products which they are manufacturing, so we'll be using the SD module. So for the reporting purpose, we'll be using the FICO module, and for conversion of raw material into finished goods, we'll be using production planning module. So based on that, we'll be preparing the project setup. So how many project managers you want, how many FICO consultants we want, how many SD consultants, consultants. So we'll be setting up, and so the number also will be setting up. So I want 2 senior consultants and 1 team lead, and to maintain this project, how many project managers we want. So it's like it depends on the scope of the project. So if we are getting all the implementation, so end-to-end implementation, so the scope is very high. So we will have multiple project managers and multiple subject matter experts. Now, so after that, what is landscape readiness? So now based on the requirement, we'll be setting up the landscape also. For example, we have the development client, quality client, and production client. So in that client, systems, development system, quality system, and production system. In that systems, we have clients like 100, 200, 300. So we should ask the client XYZ Limited. So how many client you want? So we'll be saying the normal business practices. So normally the business uses for development this many clients. So are you also incorporate the same, or else you want less clients? So like that, we'll asking the questionnaire. So in that questionnaire, they will tell you in that way. So after that, sprint plan. Sprint plan is nothing but it is a plan which you design to like how many months it takes to complete the project. So suppose in the sprint plan, I am taking like, so for 12 months I can complete the project. So you have a scope of 12 months. In that 12 months only, you will be doing the planning. So the FI activities should be, so like initial setup is like defining the organization structure or enterprise structure, correct? So that would be done by all the modules, because so far first the FI module will be defining all their organizational structure and enterprise structure. Later, the and SD modules will be defining their organization structures, whereas goes for the purchase organization and SD module goes for the sales organization. So after that, we'll be doing initial data strategy. So now everything is set up. So how we should load the strategy? So like load the data, load the master data, whether it may be a vendor master data, GL master data, material master data, anything it may be. So how we are loading the data? So if it is an existing system, but there would be a transactional data also, right? So you should load that transactional data into the system. So you'll be taking so much like you should take effort for that. So you should plan it accordingly. So what are the migration tools available in the market? So based on the SAP standard migration tools, you have data migration cockpits. So LTMC, LSMW, which is also outdated in the law back in ECC, but they are still using. So we can still use in S4 HANA. So whether you will be doing the data upload or not. So after you have done the preparation, so after that you need to explore. So in the explore phase, you will be conducting fit to standard workshops. So what is fit to standard workshop? Fit to standard workshop is nothing but you will be showing, you will be taking sessions with the client XYZ Limited, and you will be explaining the standard templates that you have in the SAP, that SAP already provided with the respect of the GSIs, and that based on the GSI scripts, you'll be having a call with the client, and you'll be telling you'll be doing the exploring phase. So after that, you'll have realize phase. So in the explore phase, we have fit to standard workshops, and we'll have the delta designs, and after that, we'll be creating the backlogs. So backlog, we'll be creating the backlogs. So delta design in the sense, now in the fit to standard, you will have the session with the client. So after that, you will be getting the gaps. So you will be explaining the standard, and the client will come and tell you. So in between the standard process, we have the custom process also. So now you'll be notifying it as a delta design. So in the delta design document, you'll be retaining. So this is the difference. So we have from the standard fit to standard and the current process. Now we'll be creating the backlog for that. After that, we have the realization phase. So we'll be doing in the realization phase, we'll be doing the configurations. Here we'll be doing the configurations, and we'll be building the RICEFs. Building configurations. We'll be doing the configurations, and we'll be building the RICEFs. And after that, we'll be doing the integration testing. We'll be doing all the testings here. So unit testing and integration testing. After that, user acceptance test. So once everything is completed and we get the sign off, we'll be going to the deploy phase. So we'll be deploying it to the production system, PRD system. So after that, we'll be doing the run, deploy and run. So here in the deploy, after deploy only, you'll be doing the all the cutover activities, and you'll be doing the hypercare. So after that, when it's a run, it's post go live operations, and you'll be seeing the system stability. So if the system is stable, you are successful in the implementation. So before this, you have like a go live or no go live. So after that, you'll after making of the decision, you'll be going run phase. So now, what is a rollout project? Rollout project is nothing but you have core template already exists. So you are extending it to a new country or a company code or a new plant. So for example, you have company code 1000 and 2000. Now you are shifting your operations and you are also into a different country. So now you are bound to create new company code 3000. In FI, it would be a company code. In MM, it would be a purchase organization. In SD, it would be a sales organization. So now you are bound to create all the new hierarchy with reference to the existing hierarchy. So that would be a company code rollout. So where you have also plant rollout in the sense in a company, 1000, let's say the company is using 1000 plant. Now the company want to create a new plant and do the operations in that plant also. Now you will be creating 2000 plant. So based on the new plant requirement configuration with respect to the modules, you will be doing the rollout. So this would be a rollout project. In support project, like what and all you will get. You will get the incidents. So based on the month end activities, you will get the errors. So you will be solving the errors or analyzing the issues and doing the change requests or enhancements. Okay. So enhancement. So you'll be like with the ticketing tool. Based on the ticketing tool, you'll be getting the tickets. So based on the tickets, you'll be solving based on the priority, and so that would be happen here. So enhancement or change request. So existing systems stays as it is. So if you have an enhancement or change request project, so then you need to identify so what and all the business processes that need to be enhanced. So this project will be done for a system which is which don't have more functionalities. When they are implementing previously, they didn't subscribe for the functionalities, and now they want that functionalities. Now we will be doing uh, uh, this enhancement or changes. So so you add new functionality, new reports, new interface, new configuration, and new automation, and you'll be going live. So new functionality. So what is migration and conversion project? So when you are shifting to ECC to S4 HANA, when you are migrating, or ECC to S4 HANA conversion, then you'll be getting this migration or conversion project. And what is an upgradation project? So version to so upgrading version to version. When you are upgrading from one version of S4 HANA to another version, so you'll be mainly focusing on this upgradation project. So once you get the upgradation project, it would be mostly a technical upgrade, and we'll be doing the functional testing whether all the business as before. So we should see like after the upgrade also whether all the business functions standard all the business functions that they are following is working fine or not. Sometimes some custom codes which they built will not work because after the upgrade there will be changes in the there will be changes in some technical names or technical fields. So when that custom report calls the technical name, so it may don't it that technical name will won't be in the system, correct? So then they will come into an issue. So they will be raising an issue log. So we'll be analyzing that, and an ababber will be debugging the program. So based on that, they will be comparing the expected results and the current results, and they will be working on the fixing by the particular technical field. So testing project. What is a testing project? So a third party implementation partner has implemented the SAP to XYZ Limited, and you only got, so a third party XYZ is limited. So currently, for example, you are working in Accenture, and there is also Deloitte. So what happened is like Deloitte has implemented XYZ Limited SAP to XYZ Limited, and it has given. Now what Deloitte will do? So Deloitte only has a implementation partners, and they don't want to test it. So they will give a subcontract to another tester. So another service based firm to do the testing. So suppose Accenture got the contract. So they will test and give the feedback, because sometimes a company, so let's take an example. I am doing something configuration for this company, and even I am doing the testing. So if there are if there is something which is like which you have done in the mistakes in the configuration, you will just say the testing is good from your side. So you if the- in case of UAT, it can be identified. Sometimes the end users will not test it correctly. So if it is even though passed into the real time, so you will be real time in the sense in the production. So the end user will be facing issues in the future, and later, like after the identification, there should be a configuration change. So to avoid that, there would be one implementation partner and another partner who is bound to test. After that, so integrate we have integration project. So integration is project is nothing but we'll be integrating the systems like non-SAP to SAP, non-SAP to SAP, and so on. So we'll be seeing the middleware. So what would be the middleware interface? It may be iDocs or APIs, or it would be a middleware. It will be a middleware route is the mapping interface. After that, we'll have a rollback project. So rollback project we won't get mostly. It is like when a go live does, like when a go live goes bad. So then they will be rolling back again, and they'll be finding the root cause, and they'll be fixing it again. They will be going for a live. So this will won't happen mostly. If it happens, then it's your luck. So next. So now we have come to know like what under the types of projects are there. Now, after knowing the projects, now we should see like where and all in which projects, in which phase or in which stage the RICEF objects will come into the picture. Correct. So for that, you need to know what is RICEF. So what is a RICEF? RICEF is a bucket. It holds every custom object the standard SAP can deliver. Okay, so it holds every custom object that can deliver. So if any object where SAP can deliver, what we'll be calling it as gap. That is a gap. So if you are finding any gap, what we need to do? We need to fill the gap. Fill the gap. So how we need to fill the gap based on the WRICEF objects. So WRICEF objects is the key. So it is the key design object when we are doing the implementation or when we are doing any project. First, we need to know what are the WRICEF objects for the particular business or a client. So now we will see when we will get when we will get the WRICEF objects. So while we are doing the implementation, correct? So while we are doing the implementation, let's freeze this out. View freeze panel. Don't think I'll paste it here. So now, so we saw like what is WRICEF. So after that, let's discuss when WRICEF comes into picture. Okay. Now, so in the implementation project, where implementation project is concerned, WRICEF is identified in blueprint or explore phase. Blueprint or expose phase. So in the here we have discussed like in the explore phase we will be doing the fit to standard, and after the fit to standard we will be identifying the gaps, and the gaps will be created as a backlogs. So once the backlogs are created, we will be discussing internally, like the functional consultant will be discussing with the technical consultant, oh this is the requirement, so how we can fill this gap. So as a functional consultant, what I will do is I will give them so these are the tables which will be carrying that field. So if they want the custom report which is not there in the SAP, so we can fulfill like this. So if I tell to the uh, technical consultant, so he'll be developing a program or a code so which fulfill my requirement. So that is the thing. So in this phase, blueprint or explore phase, we will be identifying so once identified, what I will do, will be designing in realization phase. I'll be designing it. So identified like say this report SAP don't have. Okay, so now in the realization phase, what I'll be doing is I'll be designing it, and I'll be designing. So I'll be creating a functional spec, and after that, so the technical consultant will be creating a technical spec. So after that, in the build phase, they will be they will be so they'll be built. They'll be designing in the realization phase, and they're also built in the same phase. In the same phase, they'll be building it also. After that, we'll be doing the testing, system integration testing, or unit testing, or finally user acceptance test. So we'll be doing the system integrity, so how the system is behaving. After that, how the UT is going, in the sense UT will be only done by the technical like functional consultant. So I'll be doing the UT. So if everything is good only, I'll be going to the ask the user to do the UAT, user acceptance test. Now after that, so in the rollout project, when the RICEF object will come. So RICEF object will comes when localization depends custom report or custom forms or interfaces or custom conversions. So we'll be also in the rollout project also will be having fit gap analysis. For example, for example, in the same example, we have company code 1000 and company code 2000. We are creating a new company code 3000. So some like 3000 is in suppose say 3000 is in US. So like 1000 and 2000 is in India, 3000 is in US. So now they'll be creating the custom reports. So you have use tax. So use tax custom report, SAP not deliver all the fields where the income tax department federal tax wants. So we'll be creating the new use tax report based on the client requirement. So like that, we'll be doing the fit gap analysis, and from that we'll be creating the reports, or we'll be doing the customizing. So in the rollout project, you also need to test all the custom reports. So you want to test all the custom reports based on your module, which is related to the company code. For example, if there is a company, so if there is a custom code where 1000 and 2000 is hard coded. So you have again a new company code 3000 created. So if you run the report, whether that report will take 3000, the answer is no, because these two are only hard coded. So that report will only take the 3000 company code. Whereas, and also you have an executable program where you have hard coded 1000 and 2000, and you are running it through a job. Now you have a new company code 3000. So that program don't include that, and even though you have a new company code 3000, that program executes with the 1000 and 2000, which runs into an error. So maybe if you have a settlement, so if something that program is doing a settlement, so settlement don't happens for 3000. Similar way, you have the jobs, correct? If you have jobs also, in the jobs you have the variants, correct? So in that variants, you may include in the company code 1000 and 2000, but you miss to include 3000. So in that way, in the rollout project, you should analyze everything, and you should take it up. And whereas in the support project, so in the support project, like we'll be getting the change request or enhancement. So based on that, we'll be developing the reports forms, we'll be doing the enhancement, something like that. So here there would be no phases. You will just design, build, test, and transport. That's all. So after that, in enhancement and change request, so it is a pure RICEF work, right? So we have if you want to enhance or change, so first we'll take the requirement from the client. After that, taking the requirement, we'll be creating the functional spec. After creating this functional spec, we'll be creating the technical spec. After creating the technical spec, we'll be building it. After that, we'll be testing it. After that, we'll be moving it to PRD. So this flow will be following in when we get the enhancement or change request project. So in the migration project, so migration is nothing but data conversion. So RICEF appears for the data conversion. So so now in the migration project, you may ask to build a program to upload mass data. So SAP has a standard migration cockpits. So it has LSMW, LTMC. it has that, but the client don't want to use that LTMC LSMW. They want to build a program. So now to mass upload the data, so they will maintain Excel file. So in an Excel file they will maintain all the data and they want to upload that in the system. So directly system will be creating the master data or transactional data based on that. So now that requirement they have given to us. So now what we'll do, as a functional consultant, I will tell all the tables. I will tell to the technical consultant in the functional specs, but in the upload program. So this, if this is the flat file, so this would be the, so we'll ask like what are the mandatory fields. We'll design what are the mandatory fields, and based on that mandatory fields, we'll tell like you need to set these as the mandatory fields, and once they are uploading the Excel. So once they have the mandatory fields are set, they will be uploading that mandatory field. So the technical consultant will be designing in that way and will be testing it. Okay. So in the upgradation project, RICEF appears only where existing custom object breaks, correct? So if they have existing custom objects, we'll be testing that. So if it is, as it is a technical upgrade, maybe few will break and we'll be fixing that. So in a testing project, we don't have any, because the scope is with the configuration team, right? So we talked about Deloitte. So Deloitte is bound to do this. So the Accenture team is only bound to the testing. So when it is an integration project, so RICEF plans in interfaces. So mostly will in the RICEF you will get the interface. So based on the interface you will be working on, and after that in the rollback project, if something is broken, right, in the RICEF something is broken, you will rework on that, or else you'll leave it as it is. So now here you came to know the what is RICEF and in which projects we'll be getting the RICEFs. So where the RICEF we can fit in the project level. Next, now we will be explaining. So what is the full form of RICEF? Full form is WRICEF. W means workflow, R means reports, and I means interface, C means conversion, E means enhancement, and F means forms. So now let's go in a detailed way. Now workflow. Let me take a workflow. Okay. So workflow. What is a workflow? So workflow is an approval chain not converted by the. So why we use an workflow? Workflow is for approvals, correct? So we'll be doing the customizing when the approval chain is not given by the standard SAP. So if standard SAP does not provide any workflow for a process, then the client wants custom workflow. So even the standard SAP produces also, so it will be giving you a one level approval like that only. But the client wants like three levels of approval. For example, let's take FICO module. So in FICO module we have uh, parking document approval process. So SAP by default it only provides one level approval. So all the clients in the market needs multi-level approvals, right? Client needs multi-level approval. So now what we'll be doing, we'll be asking the technical consultant, boss, so this is the thing, when they are doing the parking the document, then a workflow need to be triggered. So it is not to be in the standard, you can take the standard SAP as a base and you can develop a workflow with the multi-level approval. After that, for a workflow, there would be a triggering point. So as a functional consultant, you should give the triggering point to the technical consultant, boss. If some, so for example, parking document. So if I am saving the parking document, if I click on save, then only the workflow will get triggered. So I won't do the posting. I'll only get the save. So if I save the document, then the workflow will get triggered. So after that, that is the triggering point. So once the user got saved, so based on that backend, the technical consultant will write the code. So for example, we'll take an example, change in BP. So we have a business partner concept. When we are doing the changes in the business partner, there would be a no workflow triggered. So when I'm changing mm, the bank data in a business partner, correct? So I only have in SAP one level approval, correct? So in FB0, there would be a transaction where you'll be doing, so one user will be changing the fields and the other user will be approving the fields. So it is only one level approval, correct? So if I want multi-level approval other than one level approval, then I will also be creating a workflow, custom workflow, where now the user, now we will give the user a chance to change. So once the change, the workflow will get triggered and the other users will be accepting it. So in SD, let's take the change in BP only when they are changing some data in the BP. So the same way, like workflow will get triggered. So after that, sales order value based approval. So right, like when we are logging the sales order and when they are getting saved, right? So then sales representative creates the sales order, and orders exceeding certain limit so must be reviewed and approved by high level authorities before the release. So that's why we use this approval. So after that, we in let's also discuss this module. So in we are requiring a purchase requisition approval workflow with multi-level routing. Same as we'll have purchase requisition, purchase order workflow also. After that, service entry sheet approval before posting. Correct. So for where workflow is concerned, where the standard is not delivering the workflow, then we'll be going with the custom. This is like based on the different modules. These are the different examples. So based on this, you can develop your own scenario to explain to the interviewer. Now we'll take the R, reports. So now the custom reports for the business that standard reports can't cover. So we have so many custom reports, right? So SAP only provide normal standard reports, but we know the clients, right? They are not satisfied with the SAP standard report. They always want custom reports. So in the same way, we'll be developing the custom report. So we'll be developing the functional specs. So after the functional spec, we'll be asking like this report, so from which table it need to be picked up, like that we'll be doing. For example, in FICO module, we'll be doing the custom aging report with business specific buckets. Correct. So you know aging reports, right? In aging reports, we have only few buckets, but they want more buckets. What we'll be doing, we'll be writing the custom program. So aging reports in the sense it will be in the open item management. So open item management has a particular table. So we'll be giving that table to the table logic to the technical consultant. So and after that we'll be having GRIR, GRIR analysis report. So while coming to the SD, we may have pending sales order report with custom status logic. We'll have pending sales order report with custom logic. Maybe the client asks, so they want to see the sales order report, pending sales order reports with some logic. Suppose like they want to see with these particular document, sales order document types. So they may build several logics. Based on that, we'll be building the several logics. So and let's take one example of MM. So in MM, so open PR and PO reports with aging and responsible buyer. Open POR PR reports with aging and buyer. Okay. So now responsible buyers. Okay. So WR is over. Now you should go for the interface. I. What is I? I is for interface. So where interface is concerned. So what are the interfaces? So data exchange between the SAP and external system. Interface is nothing but data exchange between SAP and internal system. Now, so data exchange between SAP and internal system. For example, we have where let's take an example. We have CRM, right? CRM. So CRM is provided by SAP, or else we have the CRM model with other softwares also. Suppose say Salesforce. So from Salesforce, you are getting that sales data to the SAP system. Now, what is the interface between that? What would be the interface between that? So Salesforce to SAP. You are getting the data. So what is this? This must be interface. This line. So this would be, what is the connection? What is the connection? So what is connecting Salesforce and the SAP? An interface. So how the interface can be? It can be an IDOC. So you will be using an IDOC also to do the interface. For example, in FICO module, you'll be using bank statement interface to load the data into the system and clear the open documents. And after we will be using payment DME files, right? DME files to the interface, it will be sent to the bank, and later the bank will process the vendor payments. So whereas in MM we have WMS integration, and so also you have ANS or EDI inbound integration, vendor ANS or EDI owned. Okay. So whereas SD is concerned, you will also have an Ariba, right? So Ariba. So in Ariba, the buyer logs the invoice. So with the interface, it will, with the IDOC interface, it will again come to our systems, come to our SAP systems, and from there a purchase order is created, and from there you will be doing the process, end-to-end process. Now let's go to SD. So in SD, for interfaces, you can take e-com order interface or carrying or shipping system interface. For example, e-com, interface. So you have an e-com in the sense someone is ordering online. So if I order online, so from that online there will be an interface where a sales order or a purchase order is automatically created in the system, correct? So like that we'll be creating the e-com orders. So if someone is ordering, I am bound to deliver to them, right? So a sales order is getting generated and we'll be doing the payments. Now after that you will have conversions. So what is conversion? Now what is a conversion project? So it is a program to upload legacy data into the SAP. It's very simple. Where is program to upload legacy data into SAP? So when you are doing a brownfield implementation in the sense the client which you are implementing SAP is already previously into the ERP. Suppose say Oracle, they have all the transactional data, master data, and everything. Now you are doing the system upload through a program. So the client is not happy with the LSMW or LTMC. So you'll be creating a custom program and you'll be doing the conversion. Correct. So for example, if I take FICO module, so I'll be doing the opening balances. So something like vendor, GL, or customer. Opening balances, we'll be doing the upload, and asset legacy, uh, legacy balances, and so we'll be doing customer or vendor open items. Okay, so where is concerned, so we'll be doing the material master load, material master loading, and vendor master in purchase organization view, and after that open POs or purchase requisitions. Whereas SD is concerned, same, they will be going for a customer master upload in sales view, and after that pricing master, and after that open sales orders or delivery, like that. So after conversion we'll get the enhancement, correct? So enhancement, what is enhancement? Enhancements contains user exits and baddies, substitutions, validations. Validations. So this enhancement contains user exits, baddies, substitutions, and validations. So now, for example, in FICO module, so profit center derivation, custom logic, and tax logics. So we'll be having we'll be extending the logics through the enhancement. SAP will give the standard baddies where you can do the enhancement for the existing for the existing process. Okay. For example, in the FICO module, we'll be giving profit center derivation. So how the profit center should be derived? So if I giving a particular GL, so based on the GL, these profit center could be triggered. So I can write a substitutions and validations based on that. So whereas in whereas MM is concerned, we'll be having MM underscore process underscore PO underscore custom validation. So with respect to this baddie, what you will do is we'll write an enhancement. So with that enhancement, what you will do, you can write a validation. Suppose while posting a purchase order. So while posting purchase order with suppose say a cost center, okay, cost center purchase order, so there what we'll do, we'll be giving a material text, and after that you will be giving the amount, quantity, and everything. And now you are bound to give a cost center, correct, cost center. So if I am posting to a particular company code, suppose a company code 1000, and I am bound to only allow the company code which is related to, sorry, which should be allowed the cost center that is related to 1000 company code, correct. Now based on that, you can develop a validation where if cost center and the company code combination doesn't match, so I'll ask the technical guy to write a logic. Suppose my cost center code would be starting with 10 for 1000 and 20 for 2000. So the logic can be, if the company code is 1000, then validate only the cost center having star 10 star. So if it's star 10 star, then it will allow. If the company code is 1000, it's, if I am using a 1500 company code, it would be 15, right? Then the system will throw you an error. Now where SD is concerned, now for the SD we have pricing routines. So in the pricing routines, what you will do, you'll be writing a code, right? You'll be writing a code. So based on the pricing procedure, on the pricing procedure, you have the numbers, right, in the routines. So in the routines, you will be writing the enhancements code, so that you can be keeping a particular data in a different bucket. Next, after the enhancement, you have forms. Now you have forms. So what is forms? So in the, like in the RICEF, the uh, if the if the standard forms does not suit the business, then we will be developing the new forms, correct. So for example, let's take FICO. So in the FICO, I'll be having different customer forms. I'll be developing different customer forms, because for one customer, so suppose I have company code 1000, company code 1000, company code 3000. So 1, 2, 3000. So one has a different location. It is in different location, and it has the different requirement. So that based on that only. So some customer forms want a VAT number. Some company code has want VAT number for the customer form, but some company codes don't want. So like that, we'll be segregating it. And after that, payment advice. So based on the payment advice also, so if your payment advice is sending to the vendor or customer, it should be in a different, like particular format. So we'll be developing the forms. So where MM is concerned, so what we'll be doing is, we have PO forms, right, purchase order forms, that would be designed based on the particular requirements. So on the RFQ, we have RFQ forms, and also we have goods receipt slips. So like that. Where SD is concerned, we'll be having sales order confirmation, delivery note, and commercial invoice. So now what we have done, so we have shown like in which project we have seen, like in which project, so where the RICEF is applicable, and after that, when RICEF comes into picture in a particular project, after that we'll be seeing, we have seen like what is the RICEF. So after the RICEF, now what you need to do, so now what you need to, in the sense, what a consultant should do. So what a consultant should do. Now the question is whether you are a functional consultant or a technical consultant. Okay. Now you are a functional consultant or a technical consultant. So if I am a functional consultant, if I am a FICO or SD or MM or PP or QM, now now I am bound to create functional spec, functional specification document. They also call as FSD. So whereas technical concern is concerned, they should create technical spec document, TSD. So these are the documents which are created by the particular functional consultant and the technical consultant. Where functional consultant is concerned, so we'll be mostly discussing about functional specification document. So now, what is a functional specification document? So a functional specification document is a control document. It tells the developer exactly what to build for a RICEF object, RICEF object. So it's clear, right? So what functional spec consists of? It consists of document. So it consists of, it tells the developer exactly what to build for a RICEF object. For a RICEF object, it may be a workflow, report, interface, conversion, enhancement, or a form. Now, so now what and all the uh, what and all the points that need to be in the functional spec. So the first point is you need to have the purpose of the object. So what is the purpose? So why you are creating a functional spec? So you should state the problem. You, you state the problem. So the client will tell you, so this is my problem. So this is my report. So the report is not complying with the legal requirements. I need to create a new report as per the legal requirements. Now I have identified the problem. Now the second thing is background or the current process. So now what you should do is, so explain how the process works today and what is missing. Okay, in that functional spec document only, you should document everything here. So so you need to explain how the current process is working and how the other process need to be worked, how the development process need to be worked. After that, scope. The scope should be very clear in the functional spec document. So define what is included and excluded. For example, for what company codes this functional spec is used and for what document. Defines what is included and excluded. Because so you have developed a functional spec, and whether if it is not applicable, it is not so for example, for for document type essay. So I am writing this document, this functional spec for document type essay. So if you didn't specify this for document type essay, later the client will get this functional spec to you. So after implementation, they will get this functional spec to you. See, this is the scope. Why this document type is not included? So you'll be doing long back this project and you'll be forgetting what scope also, like you have done what scope also. Now you will be in a situation where you can justify yourself also. So the scope is a very important thing. So you say like, if you have this specified, you can say, boss, it's an essay, so why you are asking me like to go for a KR document? So it is not applicable. So if you want a fresh one, so give a fresh requirement after that. So the fourth point is detailed functional requirement. Detailed functional requirement. So this will explain what object must do. So what the objects must do. So we'll be describing the logics, fields, calculations, rules, and restrictions. Explains what objects must do. What objects we must do. Okay. So it describes logics, fields, calculations, rules, comma, restrictions. Okay. So for example, so this is the key point. This is the key point where we as a functional consultant should keep all our brain into, because here we are defining the logics to give to the technical consultant. So for example, what would be the input field? So what are the input fields I need to give? For example, input field will be company, company code, vendor, posting date, and PO number. So here I am creating a report, a GRIR report, where it will show the PO number also. Okay. Now, what is the selection logic? So how the system should select based on the input field? So it should fetch GRIR lines from BS, IS, or BS, BSEC. Okay. So after that, join EKKO or EKPO. Now match quantity or price. So I'll be giving the selection logic. So how my report would be selected. Now, what would be the output fields? So what would be my output fields? So I need vendor, PO, material, GR quantity, and IR quantity. Difference, difference in quantity and difference in and difference in value. Okay, so now we also need processing, like when it is processed, they also have a currency field. Okay, they may also have a currency field, so that should be apply currency translation rates. You have the ticker, right? Ticker table. So from the ticker table, they will be applying the translation rates, and that would be done. So now you'll be doing the detailed functional requirement. So after that you'll be doing the fifth one is field mapping. So the field mapping. So we'll be listing SAP tables, comma, fields, and we'll be telling the technical consultant like how they relate, correct? So you have done the definition. So now what is the linkage between the BSIS, BSEC and the EKPO table? So what is the linkage? So maybe like you'll have a purchase order field in the BSIS, BSEC. So that purchase order field, that purchase order field will need to flow to EKKO and EKPO, and they should grab it. So we should go with that logic, and you'll be telling that. So developer need this to code. Okay. So after that, the sixth point is validation rules. Validation rules. So now what I'll be doing is list checks the system must perform. So I'll be listing the checks that system should perform. For example, for example, let's take an workflow. So a workflow is getting triggered. Now I'll write a validation rule, right? Reject the workflow when vendor is blocked. Okay, so what is the point of triggering a workflow when a vendor is blocked, correct? So like in the backend, in the first fourth only, I am dropping this. I am dropping the vendor to trigger a workflow. Now, the seventh one would be error handling. So what would be the error? What would be the error? So if something is not gone as expected, correct? So now the system should trigger an error, right? So what error? So define message for invalid inputs or failed processes. Or failed processes. Now we will be defining that error message also. After that, what would be the output layout? So we have defined here the input fields and output fields, and after that we will be defining the for reports or forms, like shows the column layout or attach a mockup. So for workflow, so it shows an approval flow. So what would be? So how the output should be? So how many columns, how many rows, and how it should be? Okay. And ninth one is so performance requirement. So performance requirements in the sense, so you should also see the system performance also. So there should be no buffering. So suppose your report when you are extracting, so you should know like how many, so per a month if they are extracting, you know how many files that need to be extracted from the system, correct? So if it is if it is extracting more than files, your system will run into memory, out of memory, correct? So the technical team will be planning the same. So when you are report like when you are performing the report, custom report which you have developed. So they'll be planning if that is taking more data from the backend, more RAM. It is consuming more RAM. Now the technical consultant will be designing in that way, like this report. So this report has more data, so this contains more data, so it will be run in a particular time. He'll be writing that in the technical spec. Now 10th one, security or authorization. So it be now writing the define who can run it, who can approve it, and who can view data. Run, approve, or view. So this will be given by the basis consultant, right? So basis consultant will give the access. So here we should define the rules, roles, and everything. Now we'll be doing the transport and dependencies. So like for this report to work or for this particular program to run, there would be a dependency. We should mention required configuration. We should mention required configuration or master data to be maintained. Okay. So after that we'll be creating the test scenarios. And you will be doing the UT, and after that you will be giving the UAT. Correct. So you will be doing the test scenarios, and after that you will be giving these giving this functional spec to giving this functional spec to yeah, you'll be giving this functional spec to technical consultant, correct? So is the technical, so giving the technical consultant. Now technical consultant will be developing the technical spec. So as a functional consultant, so I have explained you in detail what we'll be doing while we are creating a functional spec. So let's discuss what are the interview questions they will ask. First question is whether you have worked on RICEF concepts. So whether you have worked on RICEF concepts, or else they may ask you. You can say yes. If you say yes, you can say any of the example in this video which I have told you. And after that, so they'll ask you like in which project you have worked on the RICEF concept. So now I have explained you how many projects are there. So in that project, where when RICEF comes into the picture, you can say that. So we have a rollout project. In the rollout project, with the fit gap analysis, we have identified the RICEF concepts, so that we have worked on so and so RICEF concepts. And also in the implementation project, so if you are saying like in your resume you have put like I am done the implementation project, correct? So in the implementation project, you can say like in the explore phase, I have done the identification of the RICEF. And in the design phase, in the realization phase, I have designed the RICEF, and I have given to the technical consultant. So like design the RICEF and created the functional specs, and I have given it to the technical consultant, and technical consultant on the deployment. So that is the thing. So this is an overall concept of the RICEF based on the project, and this the this is where how you will be creating the functional specs. Thank you. Thanks for your time. Bye. Good day. Happy learning.